target ban could be the Bard, unless they'd actually consider first picking it. You never know.
Well, Afro does like it. First pick support. Again, things are just all over the place. Caitlyn is banned. Ryze is banned. There's the Bard.
Man, Bard was banned against CLG in a lot of these games, too. That's a lot of respect. I think most of it comes from the fact that CLG is on blue side, and if they left it up, Fabulous would take it for Dumbledoge early on in the draft.
And there's the Nidalee ban away, which means pretty no-brainer. You pick up the Kindred jungle for Xmithy. That's locked in.
Yeah, very early on. Makes sense. Probably trade it with Graves. This Stone Mage can play the Graves. We've seen him play Kindred, but we also wondered if he was a Gragas only player, so to speak.
Yeah, that was a bit odd.
He's been able to show a lot of stuff, but he did play Gragas early on at MSI. Didn't work out too well for him. You'd expect him to pick Graves, but they wouldn't have to pick it now. They can pick other stuff.
Graves definitely looked a little bit better on the side. For Achu, the Lucian has been by far and away his favorite. We do expect that to be locked in. And the LeBlanc is as well for Naru. Give the man an assassin and see what he can do.
Yeah, well, his LeBlanc was 8-1-5. So we've seen he can do well on it. It's a matter of maintaining that level of excellence.
Yeah, his opponent, we have seen a lot of question marks floating around for Huhi, but he has stepped up big in a lot of instances, especially in that last fight against SKT, and we know he's got greatness in him.
Yeah, it's been a weird tournament for Huhi for sure, because his CSD early in games, when that was one of his weaknesses coming in, has been tremendous against some of the best mid laners in the world. But he's also made a lot of head-scratching plays, especially on Azir. Especially yesterday on Azir.
Yeah. And here's something I didn't really expect coming into today, but we've already seen it once. The Kalista lock-in for Stixxay.
Yeah, this is actually a throwback to early on in the NALCS spring split, where they were playing a whole bunch of Kalista, but with Caitlyn banned and Lucian taken away, he's got to go to another one. You may have thought he'd go for Tristana, but
I'm still waiting for that Rageblade build, man. It's I've been hearing good things about it, even though everyone else tells me I'm wrong.
The Rageblade Trist build?
I love it, man. It's Freelo.
Yeah, we saw it once. He ended up selling it for the last team fight, but it got him there. It got him there. That's the whole.
That's what really matters at the end. I do like Tristana, but really not being utilized by the carries here, and just not very popular at the moment. Kalista going to be able to secure a lot of objectives nonetheless, and they are starting to maybe build themselves a front line with the Maokai that has been banned quite a lot.
Yeah, last time, obviously, Fabulous was on the other side of a Maokai. He picked the Fizz, but then it was generally ineffective in the team fight phase. This time, he picks a better team fighter in Echo, but the Grand Poobah of team fights is the Maokai, so yeah, COD still having that composition.
With the Echo locked in too. There's really only one more thing for Supermassive to do. But for CLG, they've still got a couple choices to make for themselves. What does Huhi take into this LeBlanc is, I think, the bigger of them.
It's true. It is a tough champion to pick into it. He's played Lulu into the LeBlanc. That's what he did last time against Nar, when he picked Ignite Lulu, which was a little strange. And then we also have to consider the support pick here. Alistar is actually still available if Aphromoo wanted to get the Kalista Alistar combo, which is amazing, but we haven't seen for a while.
Oh, but he takes the Soraka.
That combo, by the way, is also completely ridiculous, because when you Kalista Alta Soraka into someone, you can put the Silent Zone down on them in the knockup. So they actually also guarantee the root afterwards. Like, it's still really, really, really strong.
Well, it's risky to always throw in a squishy, but we've seen it happen. We've seen Janna comboed up before as well. Now, all that really leaves is what's going to be locked in for the Doge. With his Bard taken away, he's got some decisions to make.
Yeah. Well, they've had a lot of success on him on non-Poppy supports. More conventional things. Just play Braum. He's hovering the Elise.
We know he does this.
He played the Elise during the wildcard tournament, but I really... I'd be a little excited to see it, but also I hope he plays a normal support.
Well, for him, that's a normal support.
Dumbledoge, man. He's going for it. It's obviously one of his big picks. It's heavy on in the roaming. And that laning phase against a Soraka could be a little devastating. It'll be tricky to see if Dumbledoge decides to get aggressive on the Soraka Kalista and win the lane that way. Otherwise, I see it being very troublesome.
Yeah, it might do. We'll have to see. Supermassive, they have beat this team once, so they may know a few things. I think a lot of it will hinge on that man in the mid lane, Naru. As you mentioned, his score before has really, really shown that he can stand up and roll over people if he's allowed.
Yeah, so he'll be looking to snowball the game. Domage will be looking to have his first Graves game. No big pick advantage in the jungle game. I do think Kindred is a little bit better than Graves. CLG draft, again, a very strong team fighting composition. They tried to do it last time and were punished way too heavily in the bottom lane with Sivir, so this time they pick a much stronger laning duo to try and clean up that weakness. And I'm really looking forward to the rematch between these two teams.
Yeah, as the coaches shake hands, walking off stage for that one. It's going to be a pretty epic battle. That is for certain, with Turkey taking that first win. We want to hear what you guys have to say about it as well. So go ahead, hop on at LOL Esports on Twitter and send us your votes. Hashtag CLG win or hashtag SUP win. What's up? We'll have to find out.
Now, are they going to get more hashtags because it's just hashtag SUP?
Yeah.
Just whenever, just casual conversation.
It's a pretty good one.
You never know.
I mean, and people are probably already liking it already, but of course, since Turkey owns the head-to-head, it means they own the Rift. So we're getting to see the TCL logo flashing right up on there as we load up into the Rift game. Well, number 2 with me being on it, but it's named number 5.
Yeah, and we have to emphasize as well, this is the first game for these teams in the second round robin here at MSI. The first time, Supermassive picked up their only win. They sit at 1-4, they beat CLG, whereas CLG has had a crazy ride, beating SKT, Flash Wolves, and G2, and then falling to RNG and Supermassive to end themselves at 3-2. Now we get to see the adaptations the teams have made.
All right, good old LeBlanc versus Azir starting things off too. Thunderlords proc left and right. Nara's going to take the quick back, or is he? It was all a mind game. Everything else looks pretty standard to start things off. No lane swaps, and we really haven't been seeing that many of them coming in.
No, we really haven't. Like, I thought we were going to be seeing a lot more lane swaps, especially from CLG. Oh God, not a good start for
Huhi. More like, what is he doing there? Okay.
Yeah, pathing through the river without vision on the enemy team is tremendously dangerous, but he doesn't have to burn a summoner spell, and he should be able to recall in time to get back. And also, they haven't been able, Supermassive hasn't invaded to stop a sapling start, which will actually be able to give a nice little
Quick
jump start
yeah.
for Darshan for XP. He's actually just going to put the saplings at the raptor camp, so they'll explode and kill 3 of the small raptors.
Yeah, I know he didn't go for carry top, but when Maokai was left open, definitely has been a very powerful pickup, as we've seen multiple times.
Look at this.
Let's see who he's going to be making his way through that jungle as well. Only the 2 saplings on.
Yep, so
is that a gift
saplings,
for him?
Yep, get low, and then he autos it, gets himself 27 gold and 3 CS. And this is going to attempt to get him ahead of the LeBlanc early on.
Yep, Nara's going to attempt to try and take a little bit of damage from him. Aftermoon and Stixie are moving up very slowly, pathing up to the top side. So we do, in fact, have a lane swap for just a minute. Is Achu and Double Doge going down to the bottom side to deal with Darshan.
Absolutely. Actually, even though CLG picked a strong laning matchup in case they got caught in the 2v2, I love the fact that they're actually lane swapping against Supermassive here, because this has been CLG's strength throughout most of the regular season. In North America, they were 4-3 during standard lanes. And they had a much better record than that outside. I believe it was 15-6 or 15. I think it was 15-6. We'll double check on that. When they did lane swap, so for that, but he's got Ignite. He has barrier.
Oh,
Remember,
the barrier's on. Nara's gonna have to burn the flash over into the Raptor Pit himself. He is going so aggressive so early, but he has got Xmithy on his tail. This might only be able to end one way, but Dumbledore just coming to the rescue. We might have a fight early on in this jungle, dodging out the silence. Naru gets away.
Wow, but he's losing so much experience in that mid lane. Huhi already level 3, and Naru burned both summoners, whereas Huhi just had to burn his barrier. A bait by Huhi. Both teams tried to answer that one, but definitely advantage CLG.
10 CS now up for Huhi in the mid lane, and he only burns 1 summoner instead of the 2 that Naru was forced to spend. So a little itchy on the trigger fingers. And Fab, you listen, Achu down in this bottom side, going to be joined by Dumbledoge to try and get a fast push on this tower. And we're back to relative normalcy, but it's not something we've been able to say very often this tournament.
Yeah, I can confirm that 15-6 record CLG had with lane swaps in the spring, including playoffs. So really, it's a very good omen for CLG to be doing this. I'm still not 100% sure why we haven't been seeing more lane swaps at MSI. A lot of it just has to do with, I think, teams wanting to just get to teamfight compositions and maybe abuse some skill matchups in the straight-up lanes, or just focus more on the mid lane. Because there's been so many mid lane focused games where the jungle wants to have pure pathing to get in on those fights. Either way, that's not what we have here, and we still saw mid lane focus in the lane swap.
Yeah. So towers are traded around, but yes, the mid lane focus has been pretty real, and you know, Stomaged is going in for Huhi, just trying to push him back, but he can't really prevent this farm. The Azir already going quite far ahead of Naru in this mid lane. It'll be a while before he can dive in and ignite, of course, either. Yeah,
both guys are able to come back and get double Thorns with the early recalls, but Huhi does have about a 200 gold lead off of that.
a whole lot of differences elsewhere across the board. We will take a look at that gold. A little bit extra for Achu, and that's being helped by his newly acquired Cole.
And this is actually pretty common in Kalista versus not Kalista matchups. The Kalista almost never goes Cull because they really want to be able to get to their first item as soon as possible. Kalista is tremendously strong on a 1-item power spike, whereas Lucian really wants to get Essence Reaver +1, plus the completed Zeal item. And the Cull accelerates Lucian to that 2-item power spike, where he would be weaker anyway if they matched 1 items at the same time. So, assuming the farm stays equal, Stixxay will look to take advantage of this lane once he completes his first major item, and before Achu can get to his second one.
All right, and what's been really nice, actually, for Supermassive, even though CLG instantiated that lane swap, is that they were able to take this lane, which looks fairly strong, but with Dumbledore being on a melee support, maybe a little bit more difficult than they would have wanted. So everyone's swapping back around. They've got plenty of time on the board, and Achu with this Cole build is going to be able to get a little bit more gold out of it than Stixxay will be able to on this Kalista.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about all these CLG lane swaps, 15 and 6, 4 and 3 when they're not lane swapping, but right now, Supermassive is the ones that are ahead in tempo. So really good on them, as long as Naru doesn't get punished in this mid lane with no flash, which he does not. Xmithy,
oh, he's back.
not helping with this.
Okay. All right. And he's got his Mimic popped, or rather his clone popped. Has to back away now. Questionable decisions by both mid laners, I think we can say.
Well,
but it's punished Naru a lot more than Hui.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a quick dragon now.
For sure. Yeah, it's going to be a dragon for a Rift Herald change. When this swaps back, it'll be really interesting to see what Supermassive decides to use with the Rift Herald push. We're back in macro game territory. We've done a lot of this in North America. So now when Supermassive gets the Rift Herald, it'll be interesting to see if CLG tries to trade turrets and continue the trade, or if they actually just want to match it and now do standard lanes since they've traded all the outer turrets in the lanes. Because if they do get into the race with Supermassive, since Supermassive commands the Rift Herald, therefore their minions do more damage, therefore Supermassive would win that.
Yes, indeed. So far, things have been actually going their way just by a little bit of extra gold. Supermassive with the 200. It's not hugely significant, but obviously when you've got the trades back and forth, you try to build those little advantages if you can. And then things tend to go your way a little bit more when you do decide to go for those crazy fights.
Yeah. And Maokai Azir is devastating in team fights. It's huge for and a Maokai with a Soraka is a whole new level of ridiculous.
Especially a Soraka that you can literally just throw in.
And if Naru goes to assassinate the Soraka,
they swapped.
If Xmithy's near, they can stop it. But we got some fights happening here. Hui knocks him back, but Dumbledore is here for support.
Yeah, Naru gets divided, but Hui might get decimated. Dumbledore in the Ignite is on, but Darshan comes in around the side for first blood. CLG beating Supermassive to the punch, and Hui getting chased down by Fabulous, who will equalize. A pair of mid laners traded, and a hell of a lot of summoners.
Yeah, crazy fight right there. Dumbledore comes in to stun Hui on his Azir wall. I think that's what happened right there. If that's possible, because the allies can pass through the Azir wall. I'll have to see that in the replay. Yeah. But Hui burns both summoners. Naru still has flash. First blood did go to CLG, which gives them the slight edge. And the lane swap is kind of being called right here. We got a Lucian coming into match what CLG was pushing up.
So because Supermassive had the tiny little gold edge, obviously that evens out now with that gold. So very dead even, and the teams are very keen to start fighting. Smithy steals away the Raptor, and Fabulous coming around the side. Instant exhaust onto him, and Stixxay pulls the stacks out and takes him down. Lancer Spine is on. They throw into Stomaj, but Aframu's the one who dies. Stomaj will finally fall. Double kill to Stixxay, and he gets taken down, equalized by Achu.
Wow, CLG pushed so far into that one because they had the level 6 Kalista. They decide to go really aggressive, but they really just didn't have the numbers, and they end up trading negatively in this kill-wise, despite the double going over to Stixxay.
Yeah, Xmithy in a bad spot, gets himself onto the tower, but the kill goes to Naru. It was the last one dealing that damage. Hui, meanwhile, still in this mid lane. So there's an advantage for CLG at the very least, but Supermassive know they can start fighting, and there goes the minion wave.
Yep, and they get a 700 gold lead when all is said and done. But Aframu's only level 2 when this starts, which kind of calls into question the crazy amount of aggression he had before this. And he doesn't actually have his E yet, so the crazy combo of throwing the Kalista in to throw the E down doesn't work. So they can't chain the CC, and it makes Stixxay chase farther through to finish off the Graves. And he's just finished off by Dumbledore's and Achu, and then Xmithy's just way in the back by the end of it.
Who would you rather give the kill to? Okay. It's Naru. So, at the very least, CLG did manage to get a little sneaky steal off on the Raptor camp that did actually give Xmithy a Mark of the Kindred. So, last second for that one. But, you know, little advantages, but still, Supermassive know they can take these fights. And look at that Hui! The chains are on him, and Dumbledore wants to tag in. Now, the fan mode may definitely be for CLG right now, but Supermassive are threatening.
Yeah, with the blue buff being on Naru, he's able to just harass fairly freely, who he obviously has the Negatron cloak, but that will force a base on him. So once again, just because CLG was able to take down SKT, doesn't give them superpowers. Supermassive still as competitive as ever, trying to double up on victories against CLG.
Let's see if they can find themselves another one, maybe prove their NA's kryptonite. Or at least CLG's for the time being. This tournament, there's really no conclusions I can draw from just about anything, I'll tell you that. Stixxay and Aphromoo now charging up the mid, but Naru does throw out unsuccessfully some damage. They force the clone pop on Naru, and now Stixxay still trying to go farther forward. Very aggressive moves with the AD carry. He had his back as well.
Yeah, and the sustain on him, as long as he doesn't get bursted out, as this game progresses, will just get crazier and crazier. He already has a Vamp Scepter, he has a Soraka behind him, so very freely willing to take a turret shot as long as the burst isn't going to take him down.
And he'll have a lot of ability to contest those objectives too. Kalista, being a bit forgotten about in the games we've seen so far. So, it's a nice change. It's even more adaptation. Gotta love new things. Even when they're just new for this tournament.
I mean, Kalista did actually receive some pretty big nerfs back in patch 6.6, which we saw playoffs on, and then Kalista did continue to see play. But I think with a little bit longer time, people may be feeling the nerfs a little bit more. But Kalista, and also I think because we're seeing so many very late game team fights, and while Kalista can be good in them, Kalista, I feel like, really needs to snowball ahead of the opponent to be as effective as possible. So I think that's why we see some diminished play on him. But with 2 kills early, they're hoping to do that. He's just really not that far ahead of the Lucian, who's at 100 CS.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And Nicole's not helping out too much for Stixxay there, at the very least. Naru, though, is really trying to make Huhi's life very, very difficult. They've traded fairly even, but Huhi's had a lot of backup in all this. And Supermassive, they go up the top side to try and push out, but Stixxay Afro are already there, and it kind of settles into like a bit of a wonky re-enter laning phase. But Dragon will be up soon. I can imagine they have to fight, but Huhi, they aren't going to wait for this one as Naru actually goes for him first, but Huhi answers right back with the Sand Soldiers. Meanwhile, up in the top side, Exhaust onto Achu, trying to finish, piercing light, double tap. Oh, the red stacks already! Stixxay taking Achu down.
Stixxay gets just enough red stacks. The teleport from FabFab does complete, but now he has to turn tail.
It dives back in. Looks for Xmithie here. Might punish him, and he doesn't turn the direction that Stomach thinks he was going to, and he doesn't go down in this one, but they've got themselves 3 more. No tower to take up top.
Yeah, but the pressure is now on the side of CLG, now is just about to compliment Supermassive on their ability to play the lane swap, and as the lane swap is pretty much over, Achu gets caught out of position in a Stixxay versus Aphromoo fight, and that just cascades into a mid lane turret going down.
Yeah, it's going to be a Rift Herald as well. They might even want to turn towards this Dragon side. Contesting objectives made it a little bit easier, but they really didn't have any trouble on that one now that they pushed everybody back. Pull the Ren stacks out once again. Smited down. Xmithie does pick himself up the Rift Herald buff. Let's take a look at how that all started again with Stixxay going into Achu.
Yeah, well, Xmithie finds Dumble Doge in the bottom lane, so CLG know they've separated the support and the AD carry and just go all in. Right after that, the teleport from FabFab didn't actually need to be matched by Darshan, which is why you see the cancel for him. They used that to push the mid lane instead.
Net neutral, though, with the teleports. Supermassive are eyeballing this Dragon at the moment.
Yeah. Net neutral, except Darshan's will come off cooldown more quickly because you get some of the cooldown refunded if you cancel your teleport, so there will be a very small window in which Darshan will have a teleport.
True. Oh! Speaking of small windows, Xmithie steps into a brush, and Supermassive had a moment to try and snipe him down, but a lot of damage returned by CLG, and they take control of this Dragon Pit. However, it is not the safest place to be on the Rift right now with Supermassive converging, and they pull off starting it just yet.
Yeah, and these are those one-item power spikes I was talking about with CLG earlier. Stixxay has his Blade of the Ruin King right now, so he's very, very powerful, whereas Achu hasn't even completed his Essence Reaver, and his Cull is just about to complete. So CLG much stronger from the AD carry position right now, and they're using some of that to take this Dragon uncontested.
No way that Supermassive can really do much about it. Darshan even stepping up the front. Naru's going to try to get some damage time on this turret and maybe try to push Huhi back, but not going to happen when you've got Aphromoo, Stixxay at your back. The roaming squad of CLG just gets themselves ahead. 500 gold is the lead as we've hit 13.5 minutes into this game. 1 turret advantage. It's still close, but this is already looking a lot cleaner from CLG than what we saw in their last matchup versus Supermassive.
And CLG is using the lane swap in order to make sure they don't fall too far behind for the team fight phase, because the Maokai and the Azir are going to be so important in this team fight, and when you consider that both of these teams are essentially running one tank team compositions, the fact that this lane swap has taken Fabulous so far behind in farm, only 49 CS, 14 minutes into the game, is another reason that CLG would want a lane swap to get Darshan ahead and make it kind of a one guy who is a tank and another guy who's pretending to be a tank on the other team.
Yeah. Starting to see that shine through for sure. It is 4-4 in kills, so we have seen some action back and forth really result in it, but it's who's using it and what's it going towards. Stixxay with 3 of those kills has that Blade of the Ruined King, has his Berserker's Greaves, and he is making it moves very, very quickly. Stillmage trying to get around the side here to defend, but will they even be able to? Minion Wave a little bit thin, but they've got some damage time on this turret. And Stillmage can't find an in here. The Parallel Convergence comes down, but CLG just back away.
Yeah, every time Lucian wants to use culling, he can clear a wave. That's one of the nice things about picking Lucian, as he has such a high pick rate in this tournament. But Supermassive was never actually trying to fight there. That's why Naru went all the way to the mid lane. They're trying to pull CLG off of this, and now they
force Darshan to flash.
Woo! Yeah, Smithy was really far away from that fight. It looked aggressive from Supermassive since it would have just been a 4v4. Yeah. But Darshan respects it with the flash, doesn't want to mess around.
Yeah, as tanky as the tree can be. Doesn't want to test the limits of that one. Double Doge now, and Achu. Well, Double Doge is going a little bit farther. Darshan actually didn't get to back yet, but Naru may not get to back at all as he is going to try to get away, but not before burning out. Aphromoo finally getting the kill with that one after the tower shot came long distance.
Yeah, such a sick combo actually, as Huhi knocks Naru back with the wall into a zone of silence, so Naru can immediately dash away, and Huhi can get a bunch of damage off. So for all the times Huhi tried to do that in previous Azir games, finally pulls it off, and then it's the support who gets the kill. Come on, man.
It's unlucky. That's what we say in EU. Yeah, Huhi, he may not have gotten the kill on that one, but supports do need gold too, and it was a really sweet combo. Let's see how it happened again.
Yeah, well, a bait with the recall. Naru dashes in to try and interrupt the recall, get the silence down. He flashes and jumps over the wall.
And then...
Was that a banana that followed over the wall? Because it looked like the church shot didn't quite finish him. Either way, Aphromoo kills him here.
Yeah. Got that one on the board for himself. So 5-4 now is the kills. Supermassive still trying to make plays around the map, but they are being shoved in. Not left, right, and center just yet, but CLG look a lot more confident. I think a lot of it comes down to them executing this comp a lot better and not giving away power picks. I mean, Dumbledoge's Bard was ridiculous, and they learned that lesson the hard way.
Yep, they target banned Supermassive really hard here, and it was actually a caster minion that followed the kill all the way over, and Aphromoo was the last one to have done damage to Naru. So he finished it. Just, sometimes every little bit of health matters. Gotta use those health potions occasionally.
Some days the minions kill you. Dumbledore now finds Aphromoo and dodges right out of the circle there. Still a lot of people up in that top side, not too much to fight for with the minion wave being pushed back and forth left and right. Naru unable to find a whole lot of assassination attempts himself, and Stixxay just keeps on getting bigger. Achu's taking over the mid lane, but the Azir turret's down. CLG just keep on pushing farther in to Supermassive territory. There's not a whole lot the ladder can do about it.
Yeah, and we were actually in a very similar place yesterday when CLG played against Supermassive. Even though they had a really rough laning phase with Sivir, they had a gold lead in the mid game, which is what CLG has right now. And Supermassive at that point was able to generate picks and then take the game over. So really CLG definitely not out of the woods, going to need to stay together if they want to pull this one over. And on Supermassive sides, they've been here before and they know they can still win this game.
Yeah, well, CLG have been pretty adamant about their motto: respect all, fear none. They beat us once, we can answer back, and that is the statement right now. We're not quite 20 minutes into this game, but there have been a lot of kills, a lot of towers, back and forth trades, even though it looked very, very standard to start things off. Naru goes in, Naru goes out before he takes too much, and Stillmage is actually going to try to chase as Dumbledore and Fab are looking to collapse on this one. They turn for Huhi, there's a knock-up, but there's also a pushback. Fab with a second win going in on this one, and back goes Fabulous. The Lamb's Respite is on, and CLG throw Afro in. He's going to say, no, I think I'm all right on that one. Darshan coming in around the side to pick off the Doge, and he gets it. CLG
wow.
One for none.
I mean, this is why you see Aphromoo Soraka banned a lot. The disengage potential is they just try again and again, but can't get a single kill. And it allows Darshan to wait about 7 seconds before teleporting in from the mid lane. I thought he would have to teleport in immediately, and I was about to say, where's Darshan? But he teleports in super late after Supermassive had committed.
Oh,
and they get a kill, but then Xmithie gives it right back.
And he gives it to Naru. As much as he was struggling, Naru gets that one right back. It looked very close for just a moment, but there is definitely something to be happy for Supermassive here. Another Rift Herald, pretty late, last minute, literally last minute Rift Herald coming in.
Yeah.
But CLG will be able to grab that, or should be able to.
I saw the spot on the map, and based on how long it felt like this game was going, I was like, they're going to go for Baron, Azir, and Kalista kill it so quickly. Because Azir and Kalista, that will be a threat come 20 minutes. Third Rift Herald, very good.
So about now.
Watching this, though, Dumbledore can't quite get the wall stun. And then really, even with the stun onto the Soraka, they can all flash out and get the Soraka ult for the last bit of heal. And this is when Darshan teleports in. And Dumbledore, since he passed away from the team, is able to get caught off by Darshan.
Yeah, Darshan gets some gold in the bank for himself. We all know how the rest of this ends.
Yeah, they zone them off the turret to take the turret, which makes the 1-for-1 trade an advantage for CLG because they were able to get it. But then, yeah, Xmithie didn't need to be checking on that side of the map.
He knew he was dead too. He just tried to go in for the dance damage. Yeah. So after all that happened, or while that it was all happening, Supermassive did manage to get themselves a dragon, so they will get that first dragon bonus. Pretty needed at this point. But I think what's more important is that Naru did get that return kill. He's 2-2-2 now.
Yeah, and he's at a very powerful point for LeBlanc right now with the Abyssal Scepter and the Morellonomicon, since this is before everyone can build magic resist on the enemy team. So normally the magic reduction of the Abyssal Scepter makes you do close to true damage. For CLG though, Aphromoo has been able to build some MR, but it might not be enough.
Will it be? Oh, in goes who he pushes them back, but right into Aphromoo, and Stomage gets it. Now Naru trying to escape with his life and his blue buff. And he walks towards Stixxay. Oh, did not get juked on that one. Stixxay picks up the kill. And also Xmithie managed to find one himself. All said and done, it's a 1-for-2, and this is getting to be a spicy game.
Yeah, Huhi gives Aphromoo a heart attack there by pushing two people right at him, but CLG's gonna keep going.
The Doge is caught. See if he can make something out of this one as Fab Fabulous comes in for the relief effort. Darshan taking a hole, heaping, helping through the Maelstrom. Fab wants to go in one more time. The Maelstrom's burned. Fab Fabulous is actually gonna back out now after he phase dived forward, so nothing will come of the counter aggression on that. CLG still holding the lead, 3,000 gold ahead, but it does not look as firm as it did a few moments ago.
Yeah, just a 3v3 right at the end there, and it didn't look like CLG was quite on the same page because they engaged while Stixxay was trying to take the red buff.
Oh, we're not done, okay. Okay, now we are.
This is a game of continuations. Everyone always wants to make a play after the play is over, and it's been working a lot of the time because there is a little bit of disorganization coming on.
And that starts the whole new play. Let's see where it all started this time, though. Aphromoo was there, got caught for a moment by Naru.
Yeah, Aphromoo walking through his own jungle, even though it's not warded, so Naru tries to capitalize. And then Huhi comes in for the save, but ends up knocking Supermassive straight at him. And it's good and bad, because Stomage was able to get the kill onto him, but he was then going to die for sure. And CLG does get a 2-for-1 trade right after that, because Huhi was able to knock him back with the ultimate.
Yeah, well, we have seen that Supermassive is still capable of some crazy plays, answering back. 8-6 is the kill score. At 22 minutes, you know, it really has started to get a lot bloodier than that lane swap would have indicated, but these two teams have shown that they're definitely not afraid to get down and dirty like the rest at this tournament. Supermassive really showing up and impressing, and with that first victory over CLG, I feel like it almost had to worry them even more than a lot of the other teams. Not something we expected to say. Yeah,
they're going to make a tough opponent for any team that plays against them.
And they've got a lot on the line for this tournament. With now the World's implications that really come in here, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. CLG, Huhi, and Xmithie in this mid lane trying to trade farm back and forth. Same thing happening up top with Darshan and Fab Fabulous.
Yeah, we really just need to look at how they adjust from the first time they played against each other. And
oh no. Woo, okay, this time he's got backup. Naru is silenced. Stomage, though, is there too, and they're not going to take a 2v4.
And Aphromoo is still relatively hard to burst. He's finished his Aegis of the Legion, and he's running Exhaust for himself, so it's not easy for Naru to actually one-shot him, especially when Stixxay is next to him, since he's Kalista, can always just pull him to untargetability. So I like this teamfight composition much more for CLG because they don't have that Sivir liability that kept getting picked off.
Yeah, well, they may have an Xmithie liability for just a second. Lamb's Fight is on. Achu and Xmithie are both in it, and they both flash away without killing each other. No! Achu gets Xmithie on the back half of that. 1-for-none, Supermassive now. And Stomage even gets away, but Fab Fabulous is going to try to keep him from going anywhere further. Chrono breaks back, and Dumbledore is by himself, chasing down Huhi, sends the Poppycopter flying, but it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and the red buff is what ended up taking down Xmithie. This may not be over, as Naru's looking to try and go around the backside, but now CLG will actually try and set up a siege. They have the things in place outside of the Xmithie, and that's why Fab Fabulous wants to stop him.
And goes Dumbledore. They're buying a bit of time. Stomage here looking for a shot if he can. The Azir turret actually forcing Naru back for just a moment. This is a tense second and a half, but Naru, he's totally seen, totally spotted by the CLG team, and they're opting to stay.
Yeah, they really want to be able to get this turret, but they have to be careful. Dumbledore is zooming from base, and it'll be a temporary 5v4.
Naru, he is looking for the end, and he finds it with Darshan, but the tower does go down. And now the rest of CLG are on the retreat. Stomage, Naru leading the charge here, but CLG have back to the safety of their turret.
Yeah, that's a turret for a kill trade. The question will be, can CLG hold? Because Supermassive is able to punish CLG for staying a little bit too long.
Oh!
And it's Stixxay who gets a kill onto a Chew!
How about some revenge? Stixxay answers right on back. There's a 40-second death timer now for Supermassive. Won't be quite enough for that dragon, but Naru is sticking around a little too long. Chains on, but Afro walks away from him. And Naru's going to have to beat the quick retreat.
That is absolutely a mistake from a Chew. Stixxay doesn't burn a single summoner spell to make that kill happen. You cannot do that on the international stage. We saw Supermassive talking in the feature beforehand how IWC is just so hard.
Oh, whoa!
Because you're against the best of every region, and Naru tries to keep him in the game with that assassination.
Talk about the best. He takes out Afram. We were talking about how tanky he is with that Aegis, but it is not enough to stop that full combo channel. But before that, get into all that, let's see without Chew just stepping too far forward.
Yeah.
Dunzo.
There were minions there for the turret, so I think he was trying to get some poke, but there was an Azir and a Callista right there. You just can't make a play like that.
Yeah, pulled the trigger too quick. Supermassive now eyeballing the dragon for themselves. A few more seconds on Aframu, but Smithy is here too. We might have ourselves a good old-fashioned dragon fight.
Perhaps it's 2 dragons to 1, so neither team really stacking up too quickly towards 5 dragons. COD's team composition would like the team fights, but honestly, Aframu's Soraka is still in base, and it would be a very risky force if he's not in range.
Yeah, it's done.
We'll see how badly they do want to fight. Darshan does have flash if he wants to initiate.
Culling almost completely whiffs. A few more shots do hit Darshan on the back of it, but that is a lot of damage being dealt to who he actually is. Stomage comes in around the back. Dumbledore is isolated from the team, and the Rend is pulled out of him by Stixxay. Now they turn for Stomage, and Supermassive, though they look like they might have had a better angle on this, are going to lose too.
Yep, Supermassive had a small window while Aframu was still dead, but when he got to the fight, it was not the right time to engage. Fab Fabulous was in on one side, Naru was trying to flank around the backside but couldn't get it, and Stixxay is massive this game.
Oh, he's going so huge, and Fab Fabulous, he can't hop away fast enough, throws the Time Winder, but look at his health bar, it's almost gone here, throws the Parallel Convergence, and Aframu gets thrown in after him, but now Naru's out of nowhere! Chrono Break back, but they just keep dodging and flashing and jumping around! Fab Fabulous is out of there, and who he gets the killing spree. Stixxay picks up Naru, and they're turning for Baron.
And everyone on CLG is still alive, which makes this Baron quite safe. There's no smite potential, there's no assassination potential. It's just a Chew and Dumbledore, and Dumbledore has not been making the poppy work this game. He's the one who was caught out of position at the very start of that fight, and CLG looked to take full control of the game.
Stomage is back up. If he can beat his feet all the way over to that pit. No, there's no time for that one. CLG will grab themselves this Baron. 27 minutes into the game, they've started to pull ahead in a big way. 7,000 gold in the lead. And this fight, well, the cleanup of this fight was all about it.
Yes, Stixxay, just a one-man wrecking crew with the Soraka behind him. Fab Fabulous is able to get the move speed right here, which makes Aframu not unable to catch him, and Naru gets a whole bunch of bursts down. But as Aframu flashes over the wall, Stixxay sees his opportunity. He knows he can't be one-shot from Naru's with the Hex Drinker already being completed. He finishes it off. CLG playing quite well as a team this game.
And Supermassive mistiming some summoner spells on that one. Fab Fabulous didn't appear to really respect the fact that Aframu still had flash available to himself. Stixxay, though, this guy is definitely silencing some critics.
It's amazing, really, the way he's progressed throughout the regular season from being a liability to, in some games, being the hyper carry for CLG. And it's still not completely there yet, but you can definitely see the potential and the growth out of Stixxay. He makes a lot of mistakes with the way he's aggressive, but the team is really willing to commit resources to him, and Stixxay's making it work, especially in this game.
What is really nice to see over the year, especially for CLG, is it's been a long time. Everyone's been joking about potential, but they've been realizing it. This is great. This is great League of Legends out of this team right now. Not that Supermassive have not been playing well, but they have been making the more mistakes that CLG have been capitalizing on and putting the gold in the right pockets. Now they siege up this bottom side with Baron Empowerment, see what they can get done.
And this is the type of game that Stixxay wants to take over. He's not going for the huge amount of damage Kalista build. He's just going for the unstoppable Kalista build. He's got the Maul, which will proc his lifeline passive for lifesteal if he gets low, and he's got a Null Magic Mantle, which is going to be working towards a Scimitar, which would be a triple lifesteal build if you consider the Maul a lifesteal item, which is perfect against the assassination of LeBlanc since he's so far ahead of the Lucian on the other side. CLG with Baron buff looking to make this move.
Starting to siege this tower down. Not a lot Supermassive can do unless they want to turn on. Dumbledore with the wind-up pitches Darshan out of there, but he nearly bought it on top of that. Stowmage trying to save the day too, but this inhibitor now is going to go down. There's still plenty of minions, and CLG in full control take a wrecking ball through the base of Supermassive.
And CLG is just brute forcing up because they can. They have the healer in the back, the tanks in the front. It's a good old raid right now. They just push up the lanes to take these inhibitors down. They're going to go right for another one right now with the minion wave in the middle.
Yeah. Supermassive trying to hold on to life here. They did beat CLG once, but it's looking like that may not be the case again. Double doge, twisted advance onto him, and Stixxay sticks the sticks in him. That was way too quick for comfort. Naru can't get in for the side assassination, and another turret goes down. Another inhibitor will go down. We are not 30 minutes into this game, and CLG, they are closing all the holes that Supermassive could try to get through.
Yeah, and they're actually going to just look to continue this push. The last two have been so successful, and they still have Fat Fabulous down. They might end the game here.
One Nexus turret on Chu's Calling looks like it tickled Darshan as he tries to tank up the last of it. They turn their attention back in. A big shuffle backwards, and that is everything for CLG. Massive kills, massive win, and a Supermassive victory for the North American side.
This win puts CLG to 4-2 here at MSI, and Stixxay and the rest of CLG come up huge. 11-1-5 for Stixxay, 3-1-12 for Huhi, trying to answer the critics one game at a time. CLG looking strong.
When was the last time we got to say a North American team at an international tournament just looks so good?
And the funniest thing about Stixxay is even looking at the player games during the tensest moments of CLG SKT game, he just looks exactly the same. He does not display the emotion on his face right now, which is the mark of a player that can step up in big moments.
It's a great poker face.
And obviously some people could point at this game and say, oh, okay, they beat the IWC team. Why are you freaking out over it? They lost to the IWC team as well. This is a game they had to win. And Turkey has shown that they are a threat at this tournament. So CLG, with a very solid game plan this game, lane swapping to team fighting, and then when they had their advantage, they knew how to bring it home.
Yeah, buy themselves some more redemption after taking out SKT earlier, get themselves the win over the Turkish team as well, and it was very clean.
Yeah.
In a lot of this game, it was a very, very quick, very slow march. Once they were done, it just, we're going to knock them all down, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly. We were joking a little bit earlier about the laws of equivalent exchange, and what did CLG give away for that victory over Korea?
Apparently
Surely they would lose to the Turkey team afterwards, but no. CLG...
Who needs alchemy when he got faith?
Exactly.
Get to walk off stage after that one. Fantastic performance from this team. I just can't wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, Zeeks has talked about his confidence in CLG and how he thinks they're the best team at adapting. And I also feel like North American success is inversely proportional to how much hope people have. So I'm a little bit scared to talk them up here because they're looking so good in the group stage as they continue to adapt and move forward. But they do have a chance to make some noise in this tournament. I will say that. Yeah. They've proven that with their 4-2 record.
Best of ones are definitely a different beast. We'll have to see going forward past the group stages. But it is only the second game against this Turkish team, and of course they now have to play everybody else again too, right? So it's still going to be a long way to go. But they're on the right foot, and that's something to be said for that, considering a lot of people did not give them a chance.
Exactly. Their most successful day here at MSI so far. They walk away 2-0, which is spectacular for them. Supermassive also will have to regroup a little bit. They keep swapping Fabulous and Thaldrin in that top lane. Thaldrin is the one who picked up the lone victory. They made a few too many mistakes this game. Still not a fan personally of the support Poppy. I love it when he's on a traditional support because he's a very good player.
Yeah, but for CLG, congrats to them. 2-0 on the day. And on that note, we are going to send it back to the analyst desk to break it down.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Jat has some questions about the support Poppy. I know that we do as well, so let's dive right into it when it comes to CLG's 4th win of the tournament.